Hello, my fellow Shield sisters and brothers. I hope you had a great start into the new year and I wish you health and success. You can comment on which parts of the video you liked and follow my history videos by subscribing, liking and clicking the notification bell, so you never miss out future uploads. And without any further ado, let's chill with some Baltic history. You probably heard of Lithuania and Latvia. Together with Estonia, they form the Baltic states. Lithuanians and Latvians are linguistical, cultural and ethnical Baltic, whereas Estonians are linguistical, cultural and ethnical Finno-Ugric, but count political and geographical as Baltic. Therefore, I won't include Estonia in this video very often, but will later on talk about this country in my Finno-Ugric video. But who are the Baltic people? Where did they come from? What was their culture, language and religion like? So, the Balts are an ethno-linguistic group of people who speak the Baltic languages of the Balto-Slavic branch of Indo-European languages. Later, Balto-Slavic split into Baltic and Slavic around 1400 BCE. What could indicate that Balts and Slavs have a common origin, but later split and became culturally and linguistically more and more distinct. The Baltic tribes are descended from a group of Indo-European tribes who settled the area between the lower Vistula and southeast shore of the Baltic Sea and upper Daugava and Dnieper rivers. Because the thousands of lakes and swamps and great pine forests in this area contributed to the Balt's geographical isolation, the Baltic language retained a number of conservative or archaic features from the Indo-European root. That's also why Baltic resembles so many old languages like Latin or Old Greek in the words of dievas, in Latin Deus and in Greek Theos, which means God, for example. Even in the Old Indian Sanskrit, the word for God was Deva. The Balts were possibly first mentioned by the Roman historian Tacitus in his historic work Germania, circa 98 AD, as the Asti. They had similar customs like the Swabians, or also called Swabians, who are a Germanic tribe who habitated the modern regions of northeast central Germany and the Czech Republic. He also mentioned that their language resembled more the Briton tongue. The Baltic people were also merchants who traded their amber on the amber trade route, which started from the old Prussian towns of Kaup and Trousseau at the Baltic Sea, which reached the south to Sicily. The amber brought riches and power to the Baltic people. Also, Wulfstan of Hedeby was a traveler and merchant of the 9th century, who traveled and accounted the lands of the Prussians by the name Veteland, probably referring to the White Jar coast. Additionally, the word Balt meant also white. That's why we call the Eastern Sea the Baltic Sea. In the 5th century AD, the Balts split into East and West Balts. The West Balts were comprised by the Old Prussians, the Jotvingians and Galandians, and to the east by the Latvians, Latgalians, Lithuanians, Selonians, Semigallians and Curonians, although it is debated if they're Western or Eastern Baltic. They were also the most warlike of them all, raiding even the Vikings. The Swedish, Danish legendary king Sigurd Ring, which also could be the father of Ragnar Lothbrok, defended the area of Sigtuna against an Curonian raiding attack. The Curonians were famous for their cunning warriors, who defended many attacks from the Vikings and pirated on their own. They also assimilated some Livonian Finns. The common Balt lived in small family-oriented field settlements called lauks, which were separated by uninhabited areas of forest, swamp and marsh. A lauks was also formed by a group of farms which were used to raise cattle, sheep and pigs for meat, milk and wool. And they growed peas, vegetables, many types of grain and roots for the diet. They also shared an economic interest and a desire for safety. They were ruled by a male head of the family and centered in strongholds or hill forts. The supreme power resided in general gatherings of all adult males, who discussed important matters concerning the community and elected the leader and chief. The leader was responsible for the supervision of everyday matters, while the chief, the Rikis, was in charge of the road and watchtower building and border defense, which were undertaken by the fellow tribesmen. The head of the household was the Butatavas, literally the house father, term Butan meaning home and Tavas meaning father. Larger political and territorial entities were known as pulka, comprising a dozen or so laukises. Together covered 300 square kilometers, or 120 square miles, that possessed up to 2,000 people. Later in the 13th century, these pulkas formed the territories which comprised Prussia, Latvia and Lithuania, which were also centered by big strongholds or hill forts. In the 12th and 13th century was also the time of the Northern Crusades, where many Christian powers of the West and East sought after political and religious control. First Catholic and East Orthodox Christians tried to convert the Baltic lands by sending missionaries, but the process went slow since the Balts held on to their old religion. They believed that the deities of the sky, earth and underworld and their ancestral spirits lived in the forests and the branches of the oaks. Also, the old world of world meant oak. Religious ceremonies were held at ancient oak trees, stones and springs, similar to other Indo-European religions. There they brought sacrifices in honor of the gods and performed rituals, including the consumption of herbs and mushrooms, to get to a spiritual stance, to be at harmony and to come closer to the gods. The Baltic gods resembled the gods of the Slavic religion, like the gods of the sky and thunder Perkunas in Slavic Perun, whom were the chiefs among their pantheons. Others were Velinas, the god of the underworld, and Nemesis of Perkunas, Giltine, the goddess of death, and her sister Laima, the goddess of destiny, luck and pregnancy, and Tievas, the primordial creator who created the world together with his creations, Mara, the goddess of earth, protector of nature, and Tekiavalis, the smith god of technology. Tievas was also responsible for creating the universe, the gods and humankind. The Balts had various holy places like Rumova, or places like Rügen, Chelmno, Podlasie, Semigalian or Bryansk. Rumova or Vidlist was the last native religion of Europe. But that will change soon with the arrival of the Crusaders, who forced Christianity upon the Baltic tribes. They fought with sword, axe, spear, bow and arrow in a bloody religious war against the Germans, Danes, Poles and Russians. They even managed to besiege Riga, a city at the river Daugava, which was a German merchant outpost and an old trading hub for the Vikings who navigated on the Byzantine trade route, which was connected with the Daugava and also an ancient commercial point for the Balts and Finns. Settled by Germans, Danes and Balts, it was a beacon of Christianity in pagan lands, but with internal struggles and invasions by Ruthenians and Poles, and later the expansion of a Teutonic order in the 12th and 13th century resulted in an almost complete annihilation of the Galandians, Curonians, Yodvingians, who resisted the Crusades. Gradually, Old Prussians became Germanized or Lithuanized between the 15th and 17th century. especially after the Reformation in Prussia. The cultures of the Lithuanians and Latvians survived and became the ancestors of the populations of the modern-day countries of Latvia and Lithuania. Today, Baltic people are forming a new pagan movement to return to their ancestral beliefs. Also, the Baltics are known for their stunning, beautiful nature and the Baltic Sea. Their cuisine is also something you should look for if you want to taste delicious kaplani while being at the Baltics. All in all, the Baltic people have a rich history that can be traced back to ancient times, and they are very friendly and warm if you get to know them. This was today's video. Subscribe, like and hit the notification bell so you can follow my future uploads and never miss out on my history videos. And I hope you soon chill with Phil.